The woman's affair was discovered by her husband, and the incriminating chat records have become her greatest fear. Now, anxiety gnaws at her as she desperately wants to retrieve her phone, as if that small device holds her last shred of dignity. She knows that if those shameful chat logs are made public, she will face unbearable criticism and consequences. Her eyes are filled with panic and regret as she struggles on the edge of morality. However, the mistake is irreparable, and even if she manages to retrieve her phone, it will only be a temporary escape. In the end, she must face the consequences of her actions and confront the approaching storm.
好，他在老婆洗澡的时候啊，偷偷的看了老婆微信上的聊天记录。
In our local Hunan, a wealthy man secretly checked his wife's WeChat messages while she was taking a bath and discovered that she was indeed having an affair. Faced with this fact, although his emotions were stirred, he quickly calmed down. He then said to his wife calmly, "I saw the messages on your phone and learned about your affair. I spend my days busy making money and have neglected you. I haven't accompanied you well. Your betrayal is, in a large part, my fault. But what's done is done. I want to hear your thoughts. I know that I am largely responsible for this, but if you and that man truly love each other, I will choose to let you go and bless you. I will also give you a sum of money. As long as you are happy with him and he treats you well, that's enough for me." His wife, seeing that the truth had come out, decided to be straightforward. She directly asked her husband, "How much money can you give me? I truly love him. In his eyes, I'm like a princess. He pampers me every day." The wealthy husband listened and calmly responded, "I will bless you too. Whatever amount you ask for, I will give it to you, as long as you are happy. But you are 10 years older than him. Why is he with you? You need to think carefully. Is that man with you for your money?" However, his wife seemed to be completely infatuated with her younger boyfriend and didn't heed her husband's advice. She firmly believed that the man wasn't after her money. So, the wealthy man made a suggestion. "The house and the car should be in my and the children's names. After we divorce, you can take the divorce certificate and go find him. Tell him you've left with nothing and see how he reacts. If things don't go well between you two, remember to come back to me. For the sake of our children, we can start over, but you can't make any more mistakes." The wife agreed, wanting to test the man's sincerity. But when she went to him with the divorce certificate, he mercilessly humiliated her, saying, "Sister, now that you've left with nothing, why would I stay with you? Am I here for your age? For your fading looks?" These words left her stunned, and she went back crying to reconcile with her wealthy husband. However, the wealthy man coldly responded, "We're already divorced. Why would I remarry you? I have a house, a car, and savings. What kind of woman can I find? Why would I want to be with someone who betrayed me?" And just like that, the wealthy husband, through a series of reverse moves, effortlessly resolved the marital trouble and maximized his own interests. This wealthy man's approach is indeed clever and thought-provoking.
你叫什么刘小跳？说，谁要说我不说我什么就接了，我就骂，说
这就是我老婆跟另外一个以前是我们的房东。
To everyone's shock, the husband installed surveillance in the place where his wife lives to investigate her infidelity. What he saw in the video made him break into a cold sweat. He couldn't believe his wife would betray him and choose someone older and less capable than himself. Could it be that his own conditions are truly inferior to that man's? Do you think the man should get a divorce? Please let us know in the comments. It turns out that Mr. Tang and his wife, Xiaoyu, have been married for many years and have a daughter. From the outside, their family seemed very happy. However, last month, Mr. Tang started to suspect his wife's behavior. He noticed that she increasingly enjoyed dressing up, chatting with others on her phone every day, and did not allow him to touch her phone. All of this made him suspect that his wife might be cheating. Since then, Mr. Tang has been secretly investigating his wife. One day, when he checked her phone while she wasn't looking, he found ambiguous chat records with someone else, which further confirmed his suspicions. For the past 6 months, Mr. Tang has been gathering evidence and now hopes that the reporter can mediate and get an explanation from his wife in person. If it weren't for the surveillance video, he would almost not believe that his wife had really cheated. Mr. Tang explained that he and his wife originally ran a business together, but due to poor management, the business declined and they ended up with heavy debts, making life very difficult. To repay the debt, he had to work 2 jobs every day in an attempt to improve their living conditions. Just as he thought things would get better, his wife put on this show, which was very painful for him, especially since the man was their landlord. It also explained why his wife always had different feelings about him. The mediator, feeling uneasy after hearing Mr. Tang's account, decided to talk to Mrs. Xiaoyu to understand her side of the story. However, Mrs. Xiaoyu's response shocked the mediator. She claimed that her husband completely mistrusted her and was suspicious every day. She also said that the surveillance video did not prove anything. They only had a close hug and did not engage in any inappropriate behavior. At this point, almost everyone would find it hard to believe that Mrs. Xiaoyu was still defending herself, blaming her husband for mistrusting her, rather than reflecting on her own actions. Mrs. Xiaoyu further explained that she did not intend to divorce because they have a daughter and she did not want her to grow up in a single-parent family, which would not be good for her development. Although Mrs. Xiaoyu had a point, the evidence of infidelity was clear. If she truly cared about the family, she would not have acted this way. If they really cannot continue living together, perhaps divorce is the best choice. Mrs. Xiaoyu admitted that she had ended her relationship with the landlord and had not done anything inappropriate throughout. Therefore, she did not plan to divorce and only hoped to continue living with her husband. In the end, with the mediator's intervention, Mr. Tang chose to continue living with his wife, hoping she would change and focus on the family so that it could remain intact. Although Mrs. Xiaoyu received Mr. Tang's forgiveness, her feelings for him seemed shallow, possibly due to the issue with their child. I also hope Mrs. Xiaoyu will reflect on herself and not disappoint her husband's expectations. Do you think Mr. Tang's choice was correct? A woman in Guiyang was caught cheating on Christmas Eve when her boyfriend snatched her phone away and caught her red-handed. The woman was seen kneeling on the street, crying and begging her boyfriend not to check her chat history anymore. This woman had quite a packed Christmas Eve planned. The first half wasn't even over, and by the second half, someone was already eager to make an entrance. However, an unexpected mistake occurred during the transition. It turned out that the woman in the white dress was spending Christmas Eve with her boyfriend. While they were shopping, someone called her, and the boyfriend noticed her reaction and hesitance, which made him suspicious. Seizing the opportunity when his girlfriend wasn't paying attention, he grabbed her phone and asked who the caller was, but the call had already ended. The boyfriend began to scroll through the chat history and found numerous voice messages from another man while they were on their date. The girlfriend hadn't had the chance to delete them. She immediately dropped to her knees, desperately apologizing and begging him not to listen to the voice messages or check further. Despite her pleas and attempts to pull at his clothes, the boyfriend remained unmoved, continuing to listen to each voice message. Although he appeared calm on the outside, his heart must have been bleeding. At this point, it's really unnecessary to dig deeper into her phone. Breaking up immediately is the best option. It's better to end things swiftly than to prolong the pain. If you forgive her this time and stay together under duress, she will likely resent you for taking away her space and freedom, and you will always feel disgusted with her for betraying your trust. You'll end up feeling revulsion even when you hold her.
我之前犯了点错误，
犯了点什么错误？
外边有人的，
睡过吗？
实质是睡过。
A woman, during a consultation with a relationship counselor, expressed that she had made mistakes in her marriage. She admitted that she had an affair, though it didn't last long. After the affair was discovered, her husband ultimately chose to forgive her. The woman felt deep regret for what she had done and tried to make amends because she felt she owed her husband. She mentioned that now she cares a lot about her husband and even feels that her attitude towards him is somewhat humble. However, ever since the affair, it seems that although her husband is nice to her on the surface, he often plays with his phone in front of her, chatting with other women, and doesn't try to hide it from her. The woman hopes that since her husband chose to forgive her, he should focus on living a good life together instead of making her feel ignored or kept on the edge. She said she couldn't stand this situation. In response, the relationship counselor supported the husband's approach, believing that he handled it well. The counselor pointed out that the woman shouldn't expect everything to go back to normal after her affair, because she was selfishly demanding her husband's forgiveness and for things to return to how they were. Before the affair, although the couple was living apart due to work, the woman frequently called her husband to maintain her presence. But her husband didn't pay much attention to her, which made her angry. However, the counselor believed that this should not have been a reason for her to have an affair. The relationship counselor reminded the woman that when she feels pain now, she should reflect on whether her husband had similar feelings when she hurt him. Although she is now trying to make up for it, it is not enough to offset the damage she caused to her husband. The counselor emphasized that only by creating greater emotional impact than the harm caused can the relationship between her and her husband be repaired. Even though the woman felt this was too heartless, the counselor believed that this was simply the consequence of her not cherishing the marriage. The counselor also stressed that when a person realizes their mistake, they should work hard to correct it, rather than expect everything to go back to how it was as if nothing had happened. Especially for her husband. When he recalls the scenes of his wife being with someone else, any normal man would find it hard to accept. Therefore, her efforts to make amends are far from enough. When a woman cheats, she usually exhibits the following 4 signs. If your partner shows more than 2 of these, as a man, you need to be cautious. First, she starts sleeping in a separate room or moves out. A woman may find various excuses to sleep in a different room, which is essentially to make it easier for her to stay in touch with another man. A cheating woman is often no longer in love with you. If she still loves you, she wouldn't destroy your marriage so easily. Only when she no longer loves you does she become so heartless. When her heart is no longer with you, her attitude towards you will change significantly, and you might even feel that she has changed a lot. Don't doubt your intuition. She has indeed changed. When you try to get close to her, she will reject you with various excuses because she no longer has feelings for you and doesn't want to have any physical contact with you. She may even start to resent you, and she won't even bother to pretend to be intimate anymore. Second, she no longer lets you touch her phone. In the past, she might have casually left her phone around after coming home, but now she is very careful to keep it with her at all times, even changing the password so that you can't check her phone. This situation indicates that there may be some secrets hidden in her phone that she doesn't want you to know. The arguments between you two may also increase, often over trivial matters, even though such things didn't lead to fights before.